Hello everybody, and welcome to another replay review with myself, Elagatua. We are going to be continuing in the theme of covering some of my old replays when I was very new to the game and learning what to do at a pretty basic level. And today I've got probably the most wacky and wild game that I played for a very, very long time. When I was learning everything. So to get us started here, we're on a map called Struggle Grindin', and this map is no longer in the fog rotation, but this is a base light map with 2 bases and then an airport. And there's a lot to talk about with this map. So first of all, let's go over some of the standard stuff. So whenever you look at a map for the first time, you want to get a gauge of what are the contested properties. And so on this map, you can see that there are a lot of properties in the center of the map. So we have 4 properties here that are in the center that are pretty contestable, especially the 2 middle properties. And then we also have properties in the middle of the map on the top and bottom sides. And in general, the properties here are very clustered as well. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that these are going to split down the middle though, because actually this base pushes more quickly into these properties than this base, which is farther away. So actually, it's entirely possible that the map is going to divide kind of like this, where you have like these 3 properties going to pink and these 3 going to green. Or potentially this property could be very contested. That's probably like the default of how things would split, but because the map is so small and the properties are so condensed, this map has just a lot of really contestable and flippable properties. Additionally, there's one comm tower. This comm tower, because it's behind this river tile, is not really super contestable. The reinforced to this comm tower from this base versus this base is quite substantial. So really, this map is going to be won and lost based on economy and also just how the fights go. It's not going to be like a map where you take the comm tower to end the game. Okay, so now that we've kind of established what the contested properties are, let's take a peek at CO picks. So in a map like this, where there's a lot of contested properties, but there aren't a ton of properties overall, I think even income in this map is 18K. And there's also a lot of roads. All of these things lean really strongly towards this being a max map. Eagle really prefers to have higher income maps because that will let Eagle build potentially 3 vehicles per turn, or maybe 2 vehicles a turn and then 3 vehicles a turn, basically to have a lot of vehicles for that lightning strike. And additionally, because there's so many contested properties in the center, that can be challenging for Eagle, because if Eagle plays very passively, then Eagle's opponent could take all the contested properties, and at that point, even if you get really efficient lightning strikes, you could be in a lot of trouble. So Eagle could struggle on this map, but Olaf could also struggle on this map because of all the roads. So if Winter Fury comes out and there's snow everywhere, the roads are not going to be affected by that. And additionally, roads mean recons have really fast movement, and so recon harass can become very effective. So with all these things in mind, this is a really clear max pick map. And so as you can see, my opponent, Someguy, picked max. And I picked eagle because I didn't know what I was doing. And I just thought, hey, I like eagle. It's got an airport and 2 bases. That means I can make a lot of copters. So I'm going to play as eagle. And eagle versus max is probably one of the most entertaining matchups in all of Advanced Wars by Web. So what ends up happening usually in this matchup is max can really bully eagle on the map and get an income lead. And actually max getting a pretty substantial income lead, even up to like maybe 4K on this map. So getting like a 2 property advantage for max. That would be kind of the default that I would expect from a map like this. And so if eagle is 4K down, there's a potential for that to even be like maybe an even game. 4K might be a little bit much for a small map like this where the income is pretty low. But Max really needs to get a substantial income lead against eagle. Otherwise, the lightning strike comes, and once Max ends up getting behind an eagle, it really spirals out of control, and Max can never... It's really hard for Max to recover the momentum if he ever gets behind. So oftentimes the dynamics of this matchup are Max wants to brawl with the superior tank and recon damage, and copters as well are really strong. And Max is often going to get maybe 2 CO powers, and Max needs to establish an income lead and ideally have some good brawling so that after those 2 powers, when eagle gets the lightning strike, eagle doesn't have enough stuff to really cripple Max and take a dominant position on the board to get some of those properties back that presumably Max has taken during the first few CO powers. So if you're playing eagle in this matchup, your goal is to try and prevent Max from getting too much of an income lead, but to try and play defensively and try to retain as many vehicles as you can and force Max to be under pressure to advance and control the map and push into disadvantageous fights because the pressure is on Max to control more of the board. And if you can kind of keep things even with eagle, then when lightning strike comes, you're going to win. So I think with that established, we can start to get into the replay, and we will, as tradition dictates, be playing from my vision only, and I will be critiquing my own decisions as we go along. And just keep in mind that I think this is maybe me about 15 games in. I didn't look to see exactly what game number this was, but and it goes without saying, I think this was my first time playing eagle, and this was definitely my first time playing an eagle versus Max. So I didn't really understand all those things that I just said about the map and about the matchups. Like, I had no idea. So I might end up being a little bit harsh on myself for a lot of these decisions, but that's just how it goes when you're inexperienced, and sometimes you just have to learn these things through getting smacked around. So with that being said, let's get going here. Oops. So, okay, well, we don't have vision set up correctly, so let's fix that. Okay, there we go. So now I've got my vision. So, spoiler, he built infantry on the first turn. I know you never could have guessed that. So, going to be some standard cap stuff. There's a lot of properties within one move of the city. When you have options on this property, it's good to start capping forward first rather than go down here. But I'm not going to analyze the capture order too much. This is all very standard stuff for now. Okay. I think it's day 4, so this isn't really risky at all to move this guy here, but I kind of think it's better in general to put him here just so that you don't get like plinked by a recon. I don't think there can be a recon out in time to actually do anything there, but I guess it's fine. And I'm going to open up with an artillery here, which is interesting because I had the money to open tank, but I open artillery here. And I think, well, I have no idea why I did this. I really think I was like looking at all the mountains and thinking, well, I can put artillery behind the mountains and it'll be really good. And then Max will have to try and attack into my artillery. And I can lock down these center cities with an artillery. And it's entirely possible that I looked at a replay and saw somebody build an artillery and decided to copy that. But anyway, so I have an artillery. So that's how we're going to be opening. And let's see what I can do with this. So I'm going for the comm tower here. I don't love this, actually. What were my other options here? So I'm okay capturing the comm tower with the potential for actually not capturing it and moving to this property. But I think it's potentially better to just go for the income here with 1 infantry going here, 1 infantry going here, and this guy starts to push here, and then you have 2 infantry kind of contesting this side. This comm tower is not under threat, so it's going to be safe to get later, and the income's probably more important in the early game. Okay, but it does look... All right, so I think the idea here is I'm going to move this... All right, I think I remember what happened now. We'll get there next turn, but I think the idea here is move here next turn and then support it with the artillery kind of wedged here in the mountain. I think that's the plan. And then I built a second artillery. This is... Okay, I don't recommend this. Opening 2 artillery is so passive that you're really at risk if you get recon harassed in a place that your artillery is not covering. Because you only have 2 recon, or you only have 2 artillery, so you can't really cover all the properties that you're hoping to cover. And so the second that if a recon sees your artillery, even if the recon doesn't actually harass any infantry, that's just a green light to your opponent to be really aggressive with caps elsewhere, because that means that there can't be tanks, or, well, if there's 2 artillery, then there can't even be recons running around to counter harass. That being said, Max is the one who needs to be applying pressure. So Max is probably not worried about recon harass from Eagle, because a Max tank will one-shot an Eagle recon on most terrain. So maybe not woods or a city, but otherwise it's very easy to get picked off. So Max is not super worried about that. Anyway, onward. And so I think my idea here is I just want to try and get these center properties early. And then maybe I can defend them more easily with artillery and kind of force Max to overextend in order to try and get these center properties. Which, I mean, I think the 2 artillery is too passive. But the idea makes sense in theory. Okay, so I think what happened here is I screwed up, and I meant to move this infantry here, and I forgot, and then I accidentally capped the comm tower. So, yeah, I recall that happening. So I already botched my opener, so now I'm just like, well, what do I do now? I have no infantry. I've opened artillery, and I have no infantry to cover with this artillery. So this is already kind of a disaster because my opener makes no sense. It would be much like if I'm going to cap the comm tower, I might as well make a tank instead of an artillery. But anyway, here we are. So I've got a tank now and more infantry. So well, no recons either, which I think is. I mean, it would have helped to have at least some vision, even not to be aggressive, but to at least have some anticipation of where the attacks can come. That being said, there are mountains, so I think on this map, maybe it is okay to kind of delay the recons a little bit, especially against Max, because recons have like no offensive value against Max, and the mountains could potentially provide enough vision to get by. And let you focus more on like power vehicles like tanks and artillery. So it's not horrible. I don't hate it. Anyway, day 7 rolls around. Still no contact with the enemy, and you can see the dynamics of this map. How this side has much faster access to these properties, and down here, like I'm barely even getting started. Okay, so I move over here. And this is a bit unfortunate because had I properly moved this infantry here last turn to cap that, I'm assuming that this infantry kind of came from this city. So what would have happened is, unless there's another like recon or something, the infantry would have gotten trapped against my infantry capturing the city, and then it would have also been in range of my artillery. So that would have been really good. That didn't happen though, because I screwed up my opener. So now I'm in kind of a terrible state because Max is already stealing properties that I want to get, and my artillery is freaking up here. At least if I'd put the artillery here just to play defensive, then I could have prevented him from getting this city. Because up here, it's just accomplishing absolutely nothing. So at least if I'd put it here, even if I'd made the mistake, I could have at least accomplished something. But I didn't. So now I literally have no way to do anything about this infantry because the only thing that could have interrupted it was this infantry, and I just moved it onto a mountain. So this is bad. He's just going to get one of my cities for free, and like, how am I ever going to get it back? Eagle does not want to be aggressive into Max. That is a recipe for failure. So now I'm just like, how dare you steal my city? I'll get you. As I move all my units to kind of cover that, and then I move my other infantry because I'm like, ooh, you stole my city. Well, I'll steal your city, or maybe I'll get ready to. This is a terrible idea. This infantry has no business going here. Nothing good can happen. I can't hold on to this tile. It's just a dead infantry. It's all it is. But at least I can sneak this artillery in here. Nobody ever expects the double artillery, so at least I've got that going for me because my build is so silly that it's surprising, naturally. So if it does make this infantry a little bit hard to remove entirely, so the recon can attack this infantry, but then it would have to stay on the city. And what he probably wants to do is he probably wants to move this recon off the city so that the city can be capped by an infantry. And so if that is going to happen, then the recon's going to have to go here or here. If it goes here, it's in range of my artillery, which is kind of nice. And if it goes here, it's within one range of my city. So if I had a tank to be able to support this tile, which I don't, but some guy does not know that, then the recon could be open for a counterattack. So this infantry definitely has a death wish, but it is kind of annoying for some guy to remove. So we'll see what he chooses to do about that. That being said, this infantry would be better off either maybe going into these woods if I really am serious about contesting this, or shifting down here to try and get some of these properties. It's not likely that I'm going to lose this one. So I can kind of cut my losses and just be like, okay, I'll give up this one. Maybe I'll steal the infantry, but I probably can't cap it. But then I'll secure my sides. And if I'm down 2k, then I'm down 2k. We can kind of live with that. But instead, I get sucked into the trap of trying to fight in the middle against Max. That's not what you want to do. Okay, and more tanks and infantry. That's fine. Tanks are good. And I want to mix in some copters later on, but I don't have my airport yet, so that's what it is. Whoops, actually, now let's go through his turn. Oops, I skipped ahead a lot there. All right, because now he's doing things. So let's not skip past. I keep pressing the wrong button. Okay, there we go. Sorry, replay viewer is a challenge. All right, we're back. Okay, so it's his turn. So we're gonna start watching his turn because now stuff's gonna start showing up on my screen, or at least within my vision. So he takes the city, and we see a tank, which is not surprising because it's Max. And that recon does move in position of my artillery, so this is actually going to kind of work out okay. And that infantry kills my infantry, but that also prevents it from capping the city this turn. So I don't know. Maybe this was just a big brain infantry sacrifice. Tell me what you think in the comments. But anyway, so I'm able to pick off this infantry that capped the city, and it is kind of nice because Max is going to want to counterattack this infantry with the tank because there's 2 good tiles to do it, but the artillery is covering it. So I mean, we lose the city, but if we get a free infantry out of it, it's not the worst. And we just kind of plug the gap to make sure that he can't bust through to hit my artillery. And we got all our tanks up here. So this position is like fairly secure. Even though we see the tank, it's pretty unlikely that we're going to get busted through and take a hit on the artillery unless there's like a recon up here somewhere, which seems kind of unlikely. So one downside of this infantry loss here is I have to pull this infantry up to get vision of the recon to hit it with the artillery. What I wanted to do is I wanted to move this infantry down here to take this city here. And now it's kind of a problem because if this infantry ends up getting hit, what is ever going to take this? I'm like, sure, I delayed his cap on this city for like 1 turn, but I'm also delaying my cap of a city by 1 turn. And it may not just be 1 turn, it may be longer. Because now this infantry is going to take at least 2 turns to get back here now. And that's assuming that it doesn't get attacked. So it seemed like a good trap in theory, I guess, to my inexperienced self, but there's kind of downstream effects of losing that infantry really early by overextending. It's ultimately costing me a city, and we'll see how long it costs me that city for. And then anti-air on the top side makes a lot of sense because maybe a little early, considering I'm capping the airport this turn. Yeah, I don't know about that. So that was artillery recon, or sorry, anti-air recon. Yeah, it might have been better to do tank recon instead. I just don't think I'm going to be seeing a battlecopter from Max like quite yet. I probably have another turn or two before it's possible for a battlecopter to show up. That being said, the battlecopters are very likely to harass down here. So building an anti-air up here makes a lot of sense. And I had no vision in this area, so building a recon here makes sense to cover my deficiencies there. It just would have been a lot better had that recon been built last turn and not this turn. Would have been a lot smarter. So, does anything happen? So it looks like the recon moves back. And that's it. No further engagements. So now let's see what I do. Am I really going to try and like take this city back? We'll find out. So good idea, moving my recon first, and then this city's getting capped. That's not surprising. I don't, well, it's okay, but I don't love it. At least I am denying this city to slow down the center. But am I really going to be able to control this territory for long enough to like deny it for longer than a turn? What's likely to happen is, well, sorry, I hit my mouse wheel there. And again, thought you didn't have a zoomed in view. Okay. So I guess there is kind of the same problem of last turn, right? Where if you want to kill this infantry, you have to put like a tank or a recon here, and then it's in artillery range. So I guess like sending one infantry up is fine. Because this can be kind of annoying. This is a terrible idea. Okay, this infantry should not be attacking here. This infantry's job is to go get this city. It was already delayed like 2 turns. Having this be at 1 HP does not help. It doesn't help. If we're really serious about contesting, then we need to try and contest with the artillery, which is really going to expose it. But this is not realistic for me to be able to contest this city for longer than like a turn or 2. And so I'm just giving away an infantry for free. And even worse than giving away an infantry for free, I'm not getting this. So I'm losing a unit for nothing or very little. And I'm also denying myself income. So this is really bad. This is really cowardly. This should always go here instead of stopping here. I think the idea was, okay, I think I'm getting greedy. So I think the idea is like, I'm going to take both of these properties. This is really optimistic without further support. Let's see. If I pull like all this stuff up here, then I can live with this. Oh wow! I went in. Wow. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, he's got a low HP. I mean, this is really risky. Any tank can pop this with 1 hit with Max. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's really like if there's 2 tanks here, pop. And he's going to have a tank on my city. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I guess we're all like I'm pulling everything down to support this. But I think this is a mistake. I need to concede this. He needs to go here. This stuff needs to go here. And then I'll be in position to try and take these 2 cities with this anti-air that's built. So if he tries to contest this with like a really fast copter, then I'm good. So this is a bad idea. And I hate it. Like the idea of bunching up in the center is okay, but like strategically I'm not understanding how the map plays out. And if there's like a recon up here to slow this down, like what am I going to do? Like I can't do anything. I've got nothing covering it at all. I'm just hoping that there's nothing there and that it's all in the middle. And he didn't send a recon up here. And if he did, then well, I'm not going to get those cities. Okay. I'm surprised that more didn't happen. And in the end, we don't get popped. So I don't know if he was out of position. This is one of those things where you can kind of learn information by the lack of information. The fact that nothing came to like murder all this stuff means he might have vision of this stuff. And so he knows that this is like, I'm kind of hoping for a trap here. Or it could mean that there's just a lot of stuff up here. Or there's like stuff here and here. Probably both. So he probably is down here and he's probably up here. And he's probably just not in the middle. I mean, it's kind of nice, right? Because I'm going to get this infantry denied. But again, when am I getting this city? There's still like nothing in position. And now, you know, this infantry that was supposed to get it like forever ago is now at 4 HP. So now it's like this infantry's job to go down, or maybe it's this infantry's job, but this infantry is going to take forever and a day to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 3 moves away. So every turn that I don't get this city is like it's 1,000 lost, 1,000 lost, 1,000 lost. It was like 4 turns right now that we've delayed ourselves. Okay, so we go for our aggressive caps up top. This is pretty fortunate. So we see a medium tank. This is a really, really early medium tank. And to be able to see the medium tank before it plows into my tanks on a map like this is frankly pretty fortunate. And so this kind of explains why Someguy has been so passive. It's because he teched really early. This is not a great idea, actually. It's probably just better for Max to build tanks and not go to a medium tank so quickly, because you have less vehicles to contest, like on the sides, or if you want to just brawl in the middle, it's pretty tough. But I see it, so that's a good information for me. So now I know that, well, this first of all, this recon is dead. Mega dead. So very dead. But at least I have a chance to prepare for the medium tank coming in. And we do have all our stuff in the middle, so it's not the end of the world. We are getting pretty decent infantry trades against all odds. And getting an infantry in the woods there in the center is like not horrible. And then I've got the anti-air up top thinking, okay, if he comes in with that early copter, like I'm going to be ready. So, I mean, and we are setting the trap here. Like, this formation is kind of nice. This formation is kind of nice. We got infantry in the woods. Infantry in the woods. Artilleries are covering each other. And also, we have 1 artillery covering the most likely tile for the medium tank to go into to kill that recon. This is kind of nice. And also the vision for my opponent is a little bit lackluster, because my opponent sees basically this. Now, that being said, surely my opponent will move this recon up to see what is there, having run into artilleries already. Having seen 2 artilleries, in fact. My opponent should know there's 2 artilleries. Surely he will move this recon up to see if there's any artillery around before committing this medium tank to pick up this recon, right? So that's kind of why I don't like this plan. It's like, this plan, it's okay, but it kind of only the best thing that can happen for me this turn is nothing against a good opponent. And I get a third artillery. Why did I get a third? All right. What is my income? All right, so I got 17K. Okay, that checks. That checks out because that's copter, artillery, infantry. Well, I could have gotten copter, tank, infantry. Really should be getting copter, tank, infantry. 2 artillery is already a lot. Like, I don't... This is... If he attacks on the sides, I have no mobility. That's why you need units that can drive and shoot and not just park and shoot. So I'm way too static, and I'm really vulnerable on the sides because, I mean, sure, I've got a lot of crap in the middle, but am I getting any properties in the middle right now? No. I'm denying one property, but it's not to my advantage necessarily. Okay, so recon comes in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the wrong recon to be bringing in, by the way. You need to bring this recon. Because this doesn't see anything new. Okay? It sees the same vision pretty much that was already there. I mean, I guess he sees this area, but there's nothing here. Ugh, mercy. Alright, so he just YOLOs his medium tank in, even though he doesn't see, like, these 2 tiles. I guess this is the only tile he doesn't see, so good on me for putting the artillery in the only tile that he couldn't see, but this is a mistake by him and not really an earned victory by me. But anyway, so the medium tank ends up being in artillery range, so that's great. But unfortunately, there's a tank that goes up north, and now I've got that anti-air up there, but that anti-air does nothing. And so if I had swapped the order of maybe this tank and this anti-air, then maybe I could pull this guy off the city, counterattack with the tank onto the city, and then force a copter, which is likely coming, to hit the tank, and then I swoop in with the anti-air, and we're all happy. So would have been beneficial to switch the order of the builds there, but it's kind of a minor quibble. Anyway, so my opponent is just yeeting infantry into artillery. So this is going great for me. And now we are good. We got a free artillery hit off on a medium tank. We should retreat. And we should either try to consolidate here, or we should try to consolidate here. Because we can't really do anything more to this medium tank. And a 6 HP medium tank is actually not that scary. Like, the best thing that could happen for us is for him to retreat that medium tank and repair it for like 2 turns. It's going to suck up a lot of money. It's going to force him to build less vehicles. And as the armies grow, it's better for Eagle. The longer the game is like relatively even, the better it is for Eagle. So I'm sure that's what I'll do, right? I will peel to the sides. Oh no. What am I doing? Why? Why? Okay. It's difficult to understate what a terrible idea this is. But let me try to do so anyway. Let me explain all the reasons why this is a really stupid idea. Sorry, watching that move just makes me mad at myself in retrospect, even though I didn't know much better. All right, so first of all, look at the charge. Okay, so we are overextending on low defense terrain into a max power. Additionally, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this guy is going to get blasted by this tank. I know that that tank's there. And any other tanks are going to go into this. it's like you got to know the dynamics of the matchup. You got to know it. Like Eagle's job in this matchup is to play defensively and be happy with an even map. This is like game throwing. Like I could very easily lose all 3 of those tanks here. And if that happens, then Max is going to start to snowball. Because if I lose the 3 tanks here, what's going to fight up here? Will I ever be able to control down here? I'm going to be left with artillery and like nothing. And I'm going to be super static, and I mean, maybe I can prevent him from like advancing in the center, but that's all I can do. Like I have nothing that can contest the sides. So this is a horrible idea. And I hope you learn from my inexperience. What in the world is, why is that infantry there? What is this? Whoa. All right. Well, woods are good. Not that good. These infantry need to, like, I can't support these tanks. Like, they're just too far forward. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of okay if I tried to, like, cap this city, because at least it would force something to hit this infantry. Although, I mean, it's not going to happen. Like, I can see that it's not going to happen already. And I should not expect that to work. Or like if the infantry come down to like maybe try to block for the artillery, like that seems kind of sane. Or maybe try to like put themselves in a position to bait something into artillery range, although we can't really bait anything. Like he should know where the artillery are. They've been slamming into his army for like the last 3 turns. This infantry should retreat. It has no business staying there on that city. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna be able to control that tile for the next 4 turns. Okay. The best thing that infantry can do is just move back, and maybe he can get to a city and just kind of park there for like 4 turns, and then later on be useful somehow. But like that ain't happening. So, there's no point in trying to cap this. So the one good thing that I am doing, copter, tank, infantry. Copter, tank, infantry, copter, tank, infantry, copter, tank, infantry. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Getting 17K is really important income threshold to be able to do that every turn. And down the road, when we have our lightning strike, we really want to have really have a good balance between the number of copters and the number of tanks. Because when we lightning strike, really what we want to do is we want to have a copter lead into a tank and then have a tank finish off the weakened tank. Otherwise, Max's counterattacks against tanks in just like a tank versus tank battle are pretty punishing. And so if you're just sending tanks into other tanks, you're going to kind of beat up your own tanks unless you have those copters to get the first hits. And then you're going to start to be really efficient. So definitely good to have. You're never really going to have like a 1-to-1 balance between tanks and copters usually, but it may be like a 1 copter for 1.5 tanks. That's a pretty good balance to strive for in your unit comp as Eagle. And so as predicted, Max uses power. Kaboom. Kaboom. Bonk. Bonk. Kaboom. Kaboom. Oof. And I lose an infantry here. Notice that we still have not taken this property. And now we're not going to. And the only good thing about this turn is that there's like a bunch of vehicles in artillery range. That is the only good thing. But we got absolutely what we deserved for that horrendous overextension. And now we are at 15 units. We just lost 3 tanks for a medium tank, which is no longer a good trade if you're doing the math at home. 3 tanks for a medium tank, not a good trade. Recon for a free artillery hit on a medium tank is a good trade. So we turned a good trade into a bad trade by overextending. So now we can't fight in the middle anymore. And we see another tank, which shouldn't be surprising because this is 7 moves away from this base. So my opponent is making tanks like they should be because my opponent is max. I don't know why this guy's going forward. I don't know what he thinks he's going to accomplish in those woods. He should be retreating because I cannot fight here. Okay. So at least we have a copter now. So the copter is under the artillery fire. It is kind of scary though, because I've got nothing to put in front of the artillery. So like it's great that I'm getting these artillery hits off, but I mean 1 tank kills an artillery. And if the tank is overextending to kill an artillery, even if it's an overextension, it's still pretty efficient. So so what I should be doing here is retreating with those infantry. Now they're just going to die. I guess they took an infantry with it, sure, but it's like it's a 1-for-2 trade. That's also bad. Okay, so I do at least retreat with this artillery knowing that I'm about to get slammed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the problem is if this infantry gets killed by like this tank, for example, then this tank can actually go all the way and hit this artillery, which would be kind of an overextension, but it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's still 2 moves away from the base. So, like, again, if it kills an artillery, it's still good for Max. So and like Max is gonna have the vision if this recon moves forward onto this woods. So there's a big opportunity for Max to do really punishing damage this turn. Let's see if I do anything to prepare for that. I mean, okay. So I put enough of my 3rd artillery. I mean, nobody expects the 3rd artillery. Oops, zoom in again, sorry. I guess to cover this artillery, but like if I hadn't overextended in the first place, I wouldn't be in such a terrible position. My own mistakes have gotten me here. But at least I'm making a bunch of tanks. I'm going to abandon top, even though I move that infantry forward for God knows why. I'm going to try and pull everything in the middle to like try and counterattack. So I lose the copter because my opponent has an anti-air, like they should. And that tank kills that infantry. Mountain? I mean, I don't know what the point of this was. Like, what is this going to tell me that's going to help me out? Like, of course he's building tanks. He's Max. But that tank kills that infantry. So I think this is kind of a lost opportunity from my opponent. Okay, so he pops the wrong infantry here. He should kill this infantry. That's the money infantry. All right, this is a really boy. This is a really sloppy attack by my opponent. This is a really sloppy attack by my opponent. Oh, okay. All right, I don't even know where to start. Wow. The execution of that attack is a mess. there's no way around it. This would have been the perfect turn to send a tank on this guy and then send the other tank on this guy. Instead, he sends in the infantry. Maybe he's worried about lightning strike, I guess. But honestly, like, if you do that, you're only like committing 2 tanks, and the tanks are already getting their value by removing the artillery. So like, even if you end up forcing the lightning strike and you end up losing those tanks, it's still kind of good for you. Anyway. And then he's going to put pressure on a bunch of properties. This property cap is, I would say, optimistic. That being said, being able to block it with these 2 units is pretty well done. And this, going for the city makes a ton of sense, given what we've seen so far. But I'm able to get some artillery shots here. And Max is pretty overextended at this point. So I'm going to get some like decent trades. But just like, imagine how different this fight would have been if some of these units had been in the fight, right? Instead of picking off infantry down there. I'm able to pick off some of these units that are overextended. And so those caps are not going to go through. But unfortunately, I now see that he's getting this city, which should never happen, by the way. This is within 1 move of my airport. So, I mean, I know Max wants to be aggressive. Max has no business getting this city, but he's going to get it because I can't do anything about it. So that's just how bad things have gotten for me. This is a really horrible situation. Looks like I had a bunch of income saved up, though, because I got copter tank recon. I'll go figure. So, I mean, that turn was kind of okay. I got some decent value out of it. And if he doesn't have another anti-air, he probably can't attack into this anymore. If he does have a second anti-air, it's going to be really bad. Wow. That was a Neo-Tank. So we got a Neo-Tank reveal to kill some infantry. That's interesting. That's kind of okay, actually. That Neo-Tank would be much scarier if it was fighting with the rest of his army. Instead, I kind of know that he's committed a lot of income to that Neo-Tank, and it's not, I mean, it's maybe threatening these cities later on, but for the fight that we're having now, it's not going to be a problem. And we're getting close to lightning strike. So we've made it through the power, the first power, and we're probably not going to see a second power because we took so much damage from the first power. But we get popped there. These are some pretty good trades for Max, but those, I mean, it's kind of not good because you're just putting that tank in artillery range. So sure, you weaken the tank, but at this point, those tanks would be better off not trading, I'm pretty sure. Maybe he thinks that he can force me into using the lightning strike this turn and keep the rest of his stuff retreated and out of danger. But there's nothing that's forcing me to use the lightning strike this turn. And actually, this is, I'd say, one of the first few good things that I'm doing this match. You're not under the obligation to use the lightning strike immediately. And actually, when you're playing as Eagle, it can be quite good if you can force your opponent to play around the threat of a lightning strike for a long time. And it forces them to play more defensively. And if they're playing defensively, that gives you time to make more vehicles. If you make more vehicles, then your lightning strike's better. So it can be a very, fortuitous cycle. That being said, I am still in really bad shape. I have no infantry. This is my one infantry on this entire side of the map. I'm never going to get these properties. I don't even know what the income is like. So let's see. So at least I managed to deny this one somehow. But so this is one property down here. That's minus 1k. I don't know if he's got this one. So minus 2k, minus 3k. So he's at a minimum of 20k right now, right? He might have this top property, we don't know. So he could be, we could be very easily 4k down right now. And that's like, Max is exactly where he wants to be in this match. But the lightning strike can be happening. So now, this is good play by Max. Max is strong up here. There's nothing more that Max can get down here. And I'm defending these properties with like my entire army. So Max should be attacking up here, and Max is. And that's really good by Max. Maybe a little questionable to attack into the lightning strike potential, but he's shown the Neo tank. So what does he really have to be afraid of? So I am going to interrupt that cap. It probably is worth just letting the recon die to interrupt that, so that I can hopefully take it back at some point. Actually, I don't know. Like, can I realistically contest that? I don't know. I'm not sure this makes sense, because like delaying the cap by one turn at the cost of a recon is not actually that great. If I'm going to lose it next turn no matter what. And it seems like I'm going to lose it next turn no matter what. Now, I built a bomber because there was a Neo tank. I'm kind of okay with it on this map. Because this map is so small, it's really hard to hide from a bomber as long... And the idea is we're going to hold the lightning strike until our bomber's in position to do damage. So oftentimes I think it's much better to build Neo tanks than bombers, just because bombers, you really have to babysit them, because if they get hit by anti-air, you can basically just lose the game instantly from one cheap unit. But in this situation, I think it's a nice play. That being said, I have my scouting tank that was down there for reasons. Just gets picked off for free. I don't know why it was there in the first place, but now it's not there anymore, so that's a thing that happened. And now we're just trying to set up for our lightning strike. We really need our big lightning strike in order to get back into this game. Because we're at 18 units right now. We have taken a real beating, and we're down a lot of income. And if we're not able to kind of equalize the board with this lightning strike, it's basically over. And we just lose a property there, so that's another 2k. So now we're down 6k, and if he's taken this property, he's probably also taken this property. So we're down to like 7k. And potentially, if he gets this one, we're down 8k. So it's real bad. Being down 8k as Eagle is horrifying. And I'm just donating units here. So he picks off an infantry, picks off a tank that's out there. And that's what happens. Like you get control of the board. You have really good vision everywhere. It's very hard to set up for a good lightning strike, because you are just liable to get picked off. I do get a free recon, which I guess is nice, but it doesn't really make up for the tank that I lost. Every vehicle that I lose is 2 attacks going away for my lightning strikes. I really need to be conserving my vehicles, and well, at this point, I think we're going in. It is kind of nice that okay, this is a mistake. Going with the copter, by putting this copter here, I'm already committed to the lightning strike. So what I should be doing is I should hit the tank with the artillery, and then I should leave it, and then when I lightning strike, I just use the same artillery again to hit it again. Because after the lightning strike, this artillery can't do anything. So might as well just hit the tank twice. So that's a little bit of inefficiency there. So this is good. Moving the artillery up here to first hit this tank on a city, that's great. Love that. And the bomber gets a free hit on the tank, so that's really nice. Yeah, we're going in, and I see everything up there. So that's actually really nice. And this copter is kind of out of position, because I think this is in range of my anti-air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I can get to this I can get to this copter with my anti-air, so that's nice. So I don't attack the anti-air with my copter. I'm just trying to get him in position to see as much as I can. And I mean, this is so far, I mean, this is going to be a pretty good lightning strike. I don't know what those units are doing there. They have no business being there. This is, so Max is kind of throwing a little bit. Max should not be this aggressive in the bottom of the map there. Like, those units have no business being there. And so, like, yeah, I'm kind of overextending, but I'm getting like really efficient trades. The bomber hits are really efficient. It's kind of unfortunate that I didn't kill that anti-air in one hit. I don't know if that was a roll or not. But by killing both of those anti-airs, there's a good chance that, I mean, if there's no more anti-airs, right, then that bomber is going to live, and it's going to be insane. And now all of a sudden my ridiculous amounts of artillery end up being pretty good. But obviously we're going to get counter superpowered here, and there is a bomber for Max as well. So didn't see that one coming. Maybe, well, some guy has like money out the wazoo, so you might as well build some units that are good, like bombers. Why not? And now the unit count is going to get me slapped pretty hard. I don't know about that that anti-air going for the copter, knowing that you're going to put it in artillery range. I don't know. That's a little questionable. But like, if that's it, that's pretty good for me. I really have nothing to complain about. My bomber's still alive. Look at all these tanks and artillery that are still alive. Like that lightning strike actually kind of got me back in the game a little bit. It's a shame that I have 16k income. Okay, I've returned. I had to take a little break there during the recording, so apologize for that as I get back into the swing of things. So anyway, looking at this board, we're in really bad shape. Probably like 7k behind. Maybe even 8k. Not entirely sure. Yes, we saw this 1, 2. Four. This is so all three of these. So this is like, that's a 6k, 7k. So yes, we're down 7k right now. That's really bad. But the lightning strike went pretty well, and we have a lot left over. So we need to fix the income problem. Like, we've got, I mean, we're up against a neo tank and a bomber now, but we did pretty well in the unit count, I think. Let's take a look at the stats here. So yeah, we're like even on kills. And probably the kill, the value that we've killed, we're doing pretty well on that because we've lost more infantry. So like we're not dead despite the income disadvantage, but we need to at least get the income disadvantage under control really soon, or by the time the next lightning strike rolls around, I'm going to be down like so many units that it doesn't matter anymore. So we are gonna go for the Neotank here. I think we knew the Neotank was here because it attacked something last turn. I mean, it's actually in bomber range. It's pretty sloppy by some guy to put it there, because that, I mean, that's a free Neotank, and we also, I think you know what? I actually did something smart for once. I put the tank here so that I'd see the airport to see if there was a fighter that was made last turn. And then if the fighter was made, I wouldn't bring the bomber over. But since there's just a copter, now I can hit the Neotank for free, and we're pretty confident there's no anti-air up here. So this bomber is getting crazy value. Like it killed an anti-air, a tank, and now it's got most of the HP off of a Neotank as well. So this bomber has been worth its weight in gold and is pretty much the only reason why I'm still hanging on in this match. And so now we do have infantry up here, so I think my plan is pretty sound here. If we can take control of this area, then we can actually get some properties back. And that's the fastest way to flip some properties, because, I mean, these properties are really open, but this is the closest infantry, and that's still 2 turns away. So that infantry has really high defense because this is Max's superpower fighting into, so can't start the cap this turn. But this is pretty good in terms of like what I'm supposed to be doing here. Could I have? Okay, so yeah, I couldn't move it here because the copter's in the way. So yeah, so this is good. I want to be retreating as much as I can while maintaining my units, and he overexposed some units here kind of silly, in a silly way. And so this is going to let me to disengage pretty cleanly. This is stupid, though. So there's no need to do this. You don't need to kill the Neotank. Doing a lot of damage to the Neotank is enough. But now this tank is going to get first struck by this copter that was built last turn because it's within 1 move of the airport. This is just dumb. Anything is better than this. Like, literally, just retreat this tank. It'll be really good later on. But I think I had a bad roll to not kill the Neotank. But still, like, this was totally unnecessary. And even if I get the Neotank, it's still dumb. Also, this infantry should be going here, not here. Mercy. So yeah, as expected, that tank gets cleaned up, and then the bomber kills the other tank. It's not too shocking that, you know, my units that are overextended are getting cleaned up. That's kind of what we expected. They got good value anyway. Maybe retreating that artillery could have been better, but we'll live with it. The tanks were not great, though, for sure. We're gonna lose 1 tank for a Neotank, then I'll give that up. But we lost 2 tanks for a Neotank, which is much closer to an even trade. Anyway, enough about that. So now turns are kind of playing themselves a little bit. We know that there's a lot of air units that we don't have anti-air for, so we need to pump out anti-air, which I started doing last turn. And we're starting to get control of the board, but keep in mind, I'm down 7k every turn. So every turn I'm not capturing a property, like I'm on a clock here. If this goes like 2 or 3 more turns and I don't get any income, I mean, I'm strong now, but I'm getting relatively less strong every turn this keeps going. That's an overextended tank and should not be there. Kind of getting lucky that my opponent is making some mistakes. And so this is good. We are capping the city. So we're getting something finally. I genuinely question whether I thought the woods would hide this bomber. Genuinely not sure. This seems really risky because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yikes. So this is a terrible idea. Hope he didn't make an anti-air 2 turns ago. Like, genuinely terrible. Maybe I saw what he made, though. I don't know. I hope I had some reason for that. And wow, I'm going really crazy with the anti-airs. What, I mean, it's fine, right? Like, bomber is the power unit that's available, so might as well counter it. What was that? Oh, it's a copter, okay. So yeah, I'm getting overwhelmed with air units up here, and it's actually really annoying because you think that like this bomber is super exposed, but because I only have the 1 anti-air here, I actually cannot get to this bomber. Is that right? Well, so I need to get rid of this copter in order to be able to get to it, because I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, but this is woods. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So unless I can remove this copter, I can't actually get to the bomber. So it's actually really unfortunate for me that I'm going to have to use that anti-air on a copter instead of the bomber. But that's still not a horrible trade, considering we've got more anti-air coming. And we're getting good trades down here. Not the worst, but we're on a timer. We got to flip some cities somewhere, or it's really bad. Even terrible trades, like he can almost afford to lose a copter for free every turn and still come out even in terms of income, as long as he can stem the flow. And then I move the bomber back because we've brawled so much that we're actually getting kind of close to lightning strike again. Maybe like 1 or 2 turns away from being able to threaten that. And I've got to keep that bomber alive. Like, that bomber is the one thing keeping me alive in this game. This was a decision. I think my idea here was I thought he would move the weakened tank here. There's no need to do this. This is just silliness. I think I felt like I was so far behind that I felt like I needed to make something happen, which, to be fair, is kind of true. And I think what I'm setting up is like to get these 2 cities next turn, and so I want to like clear everything out down here so that I can get these uncontested, because I've desperately got to get something. So maybe I don't hate that as much. It seems really unconventional, but like I'm playing with the appropriate amount of desperation. But now that artillery is going to get popped. Max force. That tank should not be there. That tank has no business being there. And it's really good that I built all this anti-air, because it's getting popped pretty hard. But because I've made so much more anti-air, it's kind of okay. So yeah, like I have another anti-air, so it's okay there. That's crazy that my anti-air does not one-shot the infantry because of the max power on planes. Surely that's a roll. I don't know exactly what the roll is, but that's wild. Anyway, so the good news. Oh, I see. I'm setting up for lightning strike because I can take some damage on the bomber, and now I've basically got it. So this is actually a cool play here. And with lightning strike, like, there's no way that I should be able to clear out everything within range of this. So I kind of like this. This is a surprise lightning strike, and the bomber is getting great value. Even though it's down to 7 HP, removing the anti-air is quite good. And now we see another copter, so we are going to be able to take that out for free as well. And I built a fighter because I'm like, it's really hard tracking down this bomber with anti-air. He keeps denying my anti-air. I'm just going to build a fighter with lightning strike. We'll get the bomber. It'll be okay. Maybe a little bit overkill, but some guy has used his money to build a millionaire unit. So actually, I don't hate it. It makes a lot of sense. Like, even if it doesn't find the bomber, the odds of it getting some copter kills are pretty good. But it's quite an investment when I only have 16k income. So I think I had to save for that last turn. We see nothing here, which is a little bit unfortunate. I'm really desperately looking for a target for this bomber. And now the hero artillery scout does manage to find the Neo tank, but it's not close enough for me to actually do anything to. Fortunately, I can damage the anti-air and take out the anti-air, like so. So I do end up getting some decent value out of that after all is said and done. And I'm getting another cap up here. So this is actually turning out to be a pretty valuable turn. And look at this, another tank just in no man's land. I think I knew, oh, that's horrible. Horrible roll there. I think I knew that was there from the previous turn. But I'm getting the caps on 3 different cities. And now he has to make something happen, or I'm going to start getting this income lead into at least more manageable territory than it's been all game. Additionally, all the damage I did, he didn't get any charge for that because he had used his regular power. So I think maybe he probably shouldn't have used his power. If he hadn't used it, he would be able to super this turn. It doesn't get 1 interruption off and gets the Neo tank on the city, which is pretty good. But it is in range of the bomber, unless he can clear it out with an anti-air. And the bomber shows up, and now I have the fighter in position. So that bomber is going to get taken out, so the fighter is going to get its value, assuming I can get vision. And my bomber lives, so I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, and we get 2 cities, so it's not as many as 3 cities, but we go from a 7k deficit to now a 3k deficit. And now this is kind of an even game in terms of income based on what you would expect for this matchup. And also this turn is going to be really good for us because we're going to be able to get some free hits on that Neo tank, and also the bomber is going to get popped. But we have to use like all of our units to get vision here. But fortunately, we see a path to the bomber here. We can kind of come on this river tile here. That bomber is gone. My bomber hits the Neo tank, brings it down to 1. I think there's a good chance my bomber could finally die this turn, but you know, it's far enough back that it's not the end of the world. This artillery has 1 fuel. It's 1 fuel. What a clowny game this has been. So I can't even move it back further. I just have to like pull it into the woods because he can't retreat any further. There's no way to get him back to a city. So I am correct. This is actually one of the best moves I've put together so far. Just like retreating everything. This is what I should be doing. And yeah, I've very few tanks on the board, so getting tanks here instead of copters is a smart decision. Okay, and we don't take any. So now it kind of feels like a 1 game somehow. After all that, the fact that he couldn't retaliate against this bomber or the fighter, and now, I mean, this copter is just like sacrificial lamb. Like, what did it even pick off? It picked off like a low HP tank or something. Yeah, it picked off like a 5 HP tank. But now the copter is going to die. So that's a terrible trade. Probably should have just retreated the copter, but maybe feels like he's lost too much the last turn. So now we can deny that infantry, which should have retreated because there was no way he's going to get that city. And now, all of a sudden, like, the whole board is shifting. Like, we've got infantry in position. We killed all the tech units, and this game seems almost won in our favor, despite how awful it was. Look at so the kills are pretty strongly in our favor, but look at the damage dealt. Like, I don't know how much of this I'm aware of, because we know we've done a massive amount of damage to the Neotank. Like, we know that we didn't kill the Neotank, so it's not going to show up in the KD screen, but we brought it down to 1, and then it got repaired to 5. Or was it 7? Did it get repaired to 7? Yeah, so we got brought it down to 1, it got repaired to 7, and then we brought it down to 1 again. So we really killed like 1.5 Neotanks, even though technically we haven't killed a Neotank. So he's invested so much money into that Neotank and has gotten very little for it. And really, I think he probably should have invested in maybe a fighter instead of spending all that money repairing the Neotank. I think that was a mistake on his part. But anyway, so yeah, we're sure he's had a big income advantage, but if you're up by 90,000 in value damage dealt, that's going to compensate for a 7K income deficit. Now all I really need to do is I need to refuel this bomber. It's crazy that some Eagle bombers use less fuel, but this bomber is still low on fuel, so I got to build an APC to fuel this guy. But now I just need to like consolidate 1 or 2 more properties, and we're going to be in pretty good shape. Unfortunately, that infantry gets picked off. Yeah, so these 2 caps get interrupted, but now there's some units exposed. And brawling is kind of good for me now, because we have the stronger army. And so, as I mentioned earlier on, this matchup tends to snowball either one way or the other. Either Max snowballs and wins, or Max doesn't snowball, and this is what happens when Max no longer is able to snowball. Sure, Max got the interrupt there, but lost an anti-air, lost a tank, ended up killing an infantry and half of an artillery that had no fuel. So, pretty good trade for me. And we're able to get some damage on this recon as well. Do need to be afraid of a power, but we've got... It's kind of weird that... And so now the Neotank's repaired again, so that's even more money spent on that Neotank. And now, like, his money is no longer free. He's only up 3K now. My bomber does finally die this turn. That was kind of expected to die eventually. But boy, did it get value. So nothing really to complain about there. And now, sure, he's got his power, but look, my bar. My bar is creeping ever closer. I do lack power units. This is too aggressive. Right, like this tank being here accomplishes nothing, and it shouldn't be here. Okay, so I do remove his vision down here, so that part is nice, but he is kind of stronger than me in the middle all of a sudden. So losing that bomber is kind of a blow, although I think it was kind of inevitable. It's very hard to get value from bombers and also keep them alive. I don't like this. Really don't like that. I would much rather just let that tank stay at low health. Because now this fighter, this copter is just going to die. It's a terrible trade for me. Not game losing necessarily, but knowing that I'm about to get lightning strike in like a few turns, it's just so much better to not lose that copter. Copters are really, really valuable when it comes to lightning strikes. Like, you gotta be nice to your copters, as D just says. The only good thing about that copter is it's gonna put me in lightning strike range. We're probably not quite there yet for this turn, but I am doing kind of the right thing though. Like, being down 3k is okay for Eagle as long as the situation is stable. So I'm not really under board pressure to make something happen, and we kind of got clobbered in the middle. So it's being defensive is fine if I spend a few turns to build up some units. We do have a nice infantry advantage down in that corner. And yeah, that tank is there and is just like, there's no reason for that to be, that should not happen. It's just a free tank. Like, you know, this game has been kind of a mess, but you can't give away, you know, tanks for free so many times and expect to win. It just shouldn't be there in the first place. And we haven't seen any air units for a while, which makes sense because my opponent knows that I've got a fighter. So I'm just going to put it over here just to see, because any air units that get built are going to be generally in this area. So it's the most likely place for me to get value from the fighter. And it's okay that this copter is here because, you know, my copters are also here, and I've got an anti-air, so I'm sure my fighter is not in position to deal with this copter, but I've got a million other things that are in position. And this is, I mean, Max has got to defend the cities. Pretty crazy that anti-air one-hit the infantry that was on that city, but so yeah, I get popped pretty hard here. There's a lot of anti-airs. But now it is definitely lightning strike time, if we want it to be. 10k is easily achievable. So we send the recon. That's always what you want to start doing, and already we see a copter. I think, I don't know. This copter has no business being here. And now it's free for the fighter. And now it's super bad. Like, you just can't let the fighter get 2 copters in a turn. In a lightning strike. And it already got the bomber. So, like, when you look back at like the air units that got value this game, like my bomber got insane value, and the fighter got insane value as well, because the fighter killed the bomber, and now it's got a copter. I think the fighter killed a second copter as well, so it's almost provided double its unit value in kills. We see the Neo tank now. Can't really do anything about the Neo tank, but it's nice to know where it is, and we can kind of kill everything around the Neo tank, even if we can't kill the Neo tank itself. But at this point, we have lightning strike available to us, and Max is way too far forward with too many units, and is going to get what Max deserves for overextending into a lightning strike. So you see there, this is really the ideal way to play against Max, right? Like, copter first into the tank, then the tank comes to finish it off. So that if you do it that way, your copter doesn't take a scratch from the tank retaliation. If you do it the other way around, then your tank gets messed up, and then when the lightning strike comes, you're attacking with a weakened tank, so much less efficient. And remove the recon, kill the infantry. Nice bomber you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it. Oh no. Oh no. And I actually use the rest of this turn to just back off, because I can't really accomplish anything else. But this is, yeah, I mean, you lose a bomber on the airport, it's instant resign territory. What a freaking wild game this was. So I ended up killing 130,000 more in army value over the course of this game. And my income was almost, it was like 90,000 less. Crazy game. That's Max versus Eagle. Anyway, we finally made it to the end of this one. I hope this was entertaining. It was a wild game to play. Lots of really awful decisions by both players, if I'm being totally honest. But especially by me in the early game, which forced me to really try to pull some wild tricks out of the hat with the bomber and the fighter as well. But anyway, that's going to be all from me. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like it, and if you want to say something, I'm pretty good about responding to comments on the videos, so you can say hi. But we'll do another one of these later on, and we got some fun stuff in the works for the future. So it's been fun, and we'll see you all next time. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are.